Hi, friend. It's been a minute. Um, it's approximately 3 o'clock on Saturday, July 12th. I'm currently in Palm Springs, California, and I'm not gonna lie. What I thought would be like 12 consecutive weeks of just like documenting beautiful weekly artist dates and like sharing exquisitely framed, just like aesthetic videos of me doing my morning pages from my like brand new Muji notebook was going to be like filling your feed and my camera roll. Um, but what ended up happening was honestly like 8 weeks of ghosting the internet and just bringing my business to a complete halt, which is interesting because I set out this year and also the artist way as a way to, like everybody else, experience creative recovery. I just didn't know it was going to look like this. So, in this week's episode, I thought I'd deep dive like I always do from the newsletter. So, hi, welcome. If this is the Not podcast, essentially, I wanted to create a series where I could leave lessons for my past self and also leave a recorded history for my future self to look back on and say, hey, I fucking did that, you know? So I just thought I'd start this episode by saying, welcome back. This is my second season of this podcast. And I just thought I'd share some like brief but potent lessons that I learned from the very first season of this podcast, which was never meant to be anything more than putting myself out there, building some new skills, and like maybe learning a thing or two as to how I tell my story, how I show up for myself, and if I'm able to actually own it. So, what did I learn season one? Right? Because I've had a few months off platform and it's really given me a moment to reflect on like, did I actually achieve what I set out to achieve? And like, what can I take with me into season two? Right. And so I really feel like I went in to confront my perfectionism. And what I got out of it was honestly a lot harder a confrontation to that perfectionism than I was willing to admit to myself. You know, what's the point of this? I'm not getting any views. And it just was so easy to put myself down. But taking a step away, I realized I still gained so much. Sitting down, setting up my camera, I was more comfortable. It was less precious. Like this newsletter that I wrote, I realized operationally it makes so much more sense for me to actually have it in front of me as a script. So I'm not just writing from scratch every single time or coming in here on the mic without any agenda, you know? So I'm really looking forward to like keeping this up. But this time around, I want to be more succinct. I want to be able to give you guys the good stuff. And I don't want to be just another, you know, voice in the void. I want to be able to get a little bit better at giving you guys value, giving myself value, and getting a little bit more honest and authentic with how I actually am in person. You know, there's so many layers to being oneself on camera. It's like almost like gestalt level therapy. I'm not going to even pretend to be an expert on that practice, let alone therapy, ask for a professional opinion and all that. But I will say the thing about creative recovery and also the topic of the podcast today, which is the artist way, is that the creative practice and being a creative person is a birthright and it's not exclusive to artists or creative people. In fact, I think the people that could benefit the most from the artist way are the people who have the narrative that they're not creative, quote unquote. Okay. So before I actually get into the lessons of the artist way, and there are many, so I'm just going to give you the goods. I want to just share what I've been up to. Because over the last 3 months, I was in, gosh, Miami, Denver, Joshua Tree, Washington, D.C., Santa Fe, and now I'm in Palm Springs. And I'm proud to say that not only was I able to travel that much, but I did not spend a single cent on a place to stay. And that is because of the amazing platform, Trusted House Sitters. I am desperate to become their affiliate. So, you guys following me on any one of my social media platforms will be one small step further for me to be able to qualify for their affiliate program. But in the meantime, as a thank you, I always link the Trusted House Sitter referral link that I have friend to friend that gives me a discount for a few months and you a discount when you sign up. So be sure to check that out. But if you're an animal person, if you're looking to save money and travel, if you work from home, it really opens up the possibility for me and my partner not only to be places we've never been before, actually get quality like animal time, which is so good for our mental health. But we're also able to save money, which is honestly something that will get us closer to our ultimate goal, which is to find our forever home, plant some seeds, and live happily ever after. So I always like to put you guys on. So, what actually led me to quit social media, right? Because I've been gone for the last 8 weeks and it wasn't my intention. My intention of doing the artist way, if it's called recreative recovery, I'm thinking I'm going to be posting so much more. I'm going to get back into art making as a majority of my time. I'm going to get away from doing things for approval, blah, blah, blah. And yes, some of that did happen. But in week 4, there's a chapter called Recovering a Sense of Integrity, where Julia Cameron requires something she calls a reading detox. To be honest, it would be more accurate to call it a media detox because it's not just no reading. It's like no TV, no music, no podcast, like no input of any form for a whole week. So suddenly, the only form of entertainment that I had was my Bic pen and my Muji notebook that I had bought from the first artist date that I went on in week 1. I'm sitting there in silence. I had finished the 3 pages that you're required to do for your morning pages every morning, right? It's not like I could spend the entire week on an artist date, where you're supposed to treat yourself to something. I had to sit there and confront this reality that I didn't have it in me to create. And so I only had this pen and paper. And all of a sudden, this like requirement for these 3 pages became something where I just was vomiting nonsense into the journal, right? Because the morning pages, Julia Cameron releases you from any sort of requirement of it being perfect. In fact, she encourages nonsense in the first few weeks that you just like let go of, like all of your insecurities, all of the inner critic stuff, and you can even put it in an envelope and throw it away. Really, it's not the point. The point is that when you fast, that's what ultimately creates this purge. And that purge is the thing that was causing me to not want to pick up this camera again, not want to take pictures, not want to write another newsletter out to you guys. And it is in that silence and in that restriction and in that limitation that, it was more like a scene from like The Exorcist where I'm just like vomiting all of this like stuff that I had been, holding back, distracting myself even with the artist way, like doing the right thing, quote unquote, instead of just like feeling the feelings. And that's what I love about coming to these like desert places where the silence is just ever so slightly more silent. And the absence of input on top of that just felt like, okay, I can hear myself, and once you get all the gunk out, right, 10 pages in, you start making sense. You start hearing your own voice. And despite me writing a newsletter every week, it's very different than from writing to yourself, an audience of one, in the privacy of your own journal that gets read by nobody else and is for nobody else and for no other purpose than to like bear witness to your own experience. So by the end of the first day of week 4 doing this reading detox or whatever, like I had completely forgotten about the detox, And like all of a sudden, I felt no instinctive urge. Like my hand wasn't pulled to find my phone. There was no ghost vibration on my body for a notification that I might miss, And like, I honestly thought about Netflix because it was almost like a force of habit. But like, again, by the end of that day, anything that Netflix had to offer, which to be honest, guys, what the fuck is up with the Netflix algorithm? Like the one thing I noticed going from different household to different household is that Netflix does not show you a majority of the movies that are available to you. It just like shows you the shit that you might like based off the things that you've seen, which I get is kind of nice, but like, can I make my own decision? Can like I have the free will to cultivate taste? That's why I miss like the web 1.0 and Blockbuster, where you could actually go somewhere and there's just a generalized public organization in some sort of genre order. But anyways, I'm being so like old millennial right now, but it's true. It's true. Netflix sucks. But I digress. I truly didn't feel any pull towards that media. And that lasted for a good dang dong while until like I did have a crash and burn moment where, I had to confront some family stuff, some deeper demons. And we'll see if I deep dive later in this season on some of the ways in which we have to confront our family structures and our inner child stuff. And to be able to actually say, I deserve to be my full creative self. You're wanting to do a podcast, if you're wanting to do the thing and you've watched all the way through to this podcast at this point, please turn this fucker off. Go create that account, block everybody you know. There's a setting on TikTok where you can make sure that none of your contacts are suggesting your account or vice versa. And try to show up without that need for approval. The greatest lesson that I have learned in the last year, and it only has come from me doing this, that has taken me to the next level. And by doing this, I mean both the combination of the artist way and showing back up to do season 2 of this podcast. Despite, I've got like less than 1,000 followers. And to be honest, I do appreciate and recognize after doing the artist way how precious the time is when you are a nobody. Because when you're a somebody, you do have to go back into creative recovery because you have to kill the version of yourself that got you there as well, and build a version of yourself that's capable of being able to continue your independent thought without, disappointing millions of fans. Oh, shout out to Justin Bieber. He just dropped a new album. It's pretty good, but like, I don't know. I just feel like bad for him because I think that he's just going through money trouble. Like, is Scooter Braun the actual devil? Anyways, by the time week 5 rolls around, I wasn't even like in a detox anymore. It like the artist way has a way of sneaking up on you and like turning these things that are difficult into something that you just want to actually continue doing. Right? The detox turned into devotion, not some sort of like disciplinary action, right? A devotion to that space I need to like continue that purge that ultimately allowed me to show up today and like be a little bit better than I was last season, or a little bit better than I was yesterday, or a little bit less of a perfectionist. And I know that that will ebb and flow, but I'm so grateful that at the end of this, I have really confronted the myth of quote unquote being ready, and noticing how much that costs us our creativity. And more importantly, how our creativity is a birthright. It's not exclusive to artists. It's not exclusive to artists at all. But I will say that the artist way is called the artist way for a reason, right? And when you are an artiste, right, like me, sorry, like can't even take myself seriously. When you are an artist, and I identify as one quote really stood out to me um reading The Artist's Way from Julia Cameron, where she said, the need to be a great artist makes it hard to just be an artist. The need to produce a great work of art makes it hard to produce any art at all. So I'm going to leave you guys on that note. And I'm going to encourage you all to click the link in my bio to get The Artist's Way. I honestly can tell you that if you are seeing this now and you've watched or listened all the way to the end, at this point, you're going to have to take it as a sign. And that's another thing that, I'd love to touch on this season is the idea of synchronicity. Something that was big in The Artist's Way, but is also big with another person whose book I'm reading right now, which is the incomparable Carl Jung. Depending on when you guys are watching this, there may or may not be a video of me already showing you guys how I saved that Julia Cameron quote and every single quote that I wanted to remember from that book inside of Notion. And this is essentially where I'm going to be showing you guys on video how to use a brand new template that I will be releasing as a way to tease the Office 2.0, which is my second brain system that I called a second heart system. If you guys want to follow me on my other channels or check out Not Studio, which is no longer private. I've made it public so you guys can have access to it. If you subscribe to my newsletter, you would have direct links to discounted prices to the Office 1.0 that still comes with a free onboarding. So, you guys, it's like the best price it's ever going to be. I'm also re releasing all of the a la carte templates that go inside the Office 1.0 for free. And this is only going to happen until the end of the summer. As soon as the fall rolls around, I'm going to be releasing the Office 2.0. And as a way to tease this release, I am going to be sharing some really amazing updates and templates, like the template of How I Remember Everything, which is my note taking and library research system for Notion. And you guys, it's beautiful, it's functional. And I actually used it today, right? I pulled up a quote from the book, from my Notion, so that I could write my newsletter and write the script for this podcast. So I'm really practicing what I preach here, guys. Like, I'm trying to give you the most amount of value as possible and give you this shit that actually helps me be an artist, live the life that I want to live, and not feel like I have to compromise to have it all. I don't have to, like, sacrifice myself, sacrifice my body, sacrifice my boundaries to have what I need. And so if you like this episode, please comment, like, subscribe. I linked a whole bunch of amazing things that we talked about in this episode in the description of below. If you guys are watching me on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. Like I said, more videos coming out every single week. And thank you so much for spending time with me. I will continue to be sending these out once a week. So, I will leave it there. Thank you guys so much. Talk to you next week. Bye bye.